Assalamu alaikum. Students, welcome to today's lecture about intellectual property rights. In this lecture, we will first see the introduction, then what is meant by confidential information. We will look into what are patents and copyright. We will discuss the acts permitted in relation to copyright. We will learn if the copyright is breached, then what will be the remedies for it. Lastly, we will see what the plagiarism is all about. Now comes the introduction. Let's see what is intellectual property. It is a work done or invention of someone that is the result of some creativity, meaning that intellectual property is some kind of innovative work that is never done before. Therefore, intellectual property rights are often the most valuable assets owned, used, and developed by a software house. Of course, we are discussing the topic with computer science background, so software house is the major concern, where different kinds of work are being in progress. Intellectual property rights protect those work. Intellectual property rights include confidential information, patents, trademarks, designs, copyrights protecting computer programs. We will see their details in the upcoming slides. As we have discussed before, intellectual property rights protect intellectual work. This point is elaborated here. They protect information stored by electronic means and all of the paperwork which accompanies a program, such as the user manual plus any multimedia packages and most items on the web. So, all the information, whether electronically stored or in paperwork, regarding the software being built or any packages or items on the web are protected by intellectual property. Next point is great care should be taken to protect, exploit, and enforce intellectual property. That is, all contracts between a software house and its employees, consultants, suppliers, and customers should address the issue in order to avoid future problems. Now we will see what different intellectual properties are meant for. First comes trademark. The product's name can be registered as a trademark, and once registered, no one else can sold the product with the same name. Next is patents. Patents covers the hardware design or a process which may be involved in the manufacture. Next is design registry, which covers the right of a product to look like. So no one else can sold out the products with exactly same look and feel. Next comes copyright, which protects a software. And lastly, the confidential information is all about the know-how which goes into the development of the product, and it should not be leaked or provided outside before the launch of the product. As we know that there is a much greater competition in market, so proper care should be taken. Next comes the point, what if the intellectual property is used unauthorized? So the answer is that the illegal activity can be stopped by some authoritative warnings or orders, and damages may be sought in violation of these rights. As the technology is changing day by day, so is the laws in relation to technological issues. In this regard, in Europe, General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade concerned the protection of intellectual property rights in the face of widespread piracy of software products, keeping in view that the industry must be aware of its rights and obligations and that every step should be taken to enforce them. Now we will discuss some intellectual properties in detail. First is confidential information. We have discussed before that it is the information related to the product being in the process of building. So, it is the hidden information in the organization which is not a public property or not in a public knowledge. Let's see in depth what comes under confidential information. It is any category of information from personal confidences to trade secrets and sensitive government information any or all of which a computer scientist might handle in the course of his or her work, or all or any of which a firm may want to protect against unauthorized use or disclosure by others. Here comes the point that information will be protected only if it is confidential. Non confidential information can be used by anyone in the public. We have seen that all too often employees leave to set up their own business or to work for rivals. The information carried away in their heads or in the documents in their briefcases can represent a significant leakage of commercial advantage. On the other hand, it is unfair to tie employees and others too tightly, therefore, preventing them from using any knowledge acquired in the course of their work is not in the public interest, and mobility of labor is desirable. The law has to find a balance. Next are three conditions which must be satisfied before an action of breach of confidence can be taken. Number one is that the information has really some confidential value. Number two is the circumstances in which the information is leaked, which is in danger to the organization. Number three is the actual or expected or predicted illegal use or disclosure of the information. If these three conditions are satisfied, then necessary actions can be taken into place according to the laws. Next intellectual property is patents. Patent is a government authority conferring a right or title for a set period, especially the sole right to exclude others from making, using, or selling an invention, meaning that a right is given to an organization for a particular length of period in which others are being excluded from making, using, or selling of any invention similar to that organization's work. Next point is a patent gives to an inventor a monopoly in an invention. This means that the inventor is given the exclusive right to use or exploit the invention for a defined period. For example, in UK, a patent lasts for 20 years. The person who takes out a patent is known as a patentee, and this monopoly entitles the patentee to use or exploit the invention personally, share it with others in a cooperative venture, or sell it. Here comes an important point that the monopoly granted by patent law is so strong that the owner of a patent may even exclude independent inventors from the market. Next important point discusses about the real challenge a patentee can face. The better the patent, the more commercially desirable the breakthrough, the more likely it is to be challenged. For example, if competitors can produce a similar product or process which is not covered by the patent, they will be free to market it and to erode the commercial advantage of the patentee if they can prove that the subject matter of the patent has been used or disclosed before. They can invalidate the patent. Next is the Patent Act does not define an invention. It merely sets out a number of criteria which must be satisfied before an invention can be patented. A patent may only be granted if the invention is new, it has some inventive step, from it a useful industrial application can be made, it should not be related to the excluded set of classes which cannot be patented. Next is it is possible to patent something which is more than just a program, something which can be called for simplicity a program plus. For example, if we write a program for addition, there is no sense to get a patent for it, so it should be more than just an ordinary program. It is further elaborated in next point that a computer program is not excluded from patentability if it produced or is capable of producing a further technical effect beyond the normal physical interaction between software and hardware. That is, it is potentially patentable if it makes something else do something. Next intellectual property is the copyright. It is the exclusive legal right given to an originator or an assignee to print, publish, perform material, and to authorize others to do the same. Copyright protects more items generated by businesses or by individuals than any other aspect of intellectual property law. It can protect business letters, manuals, diagrams, computer programs. Copyright owners face the specter of unlimited piracy through uncontrolled copying with the advent of internet. Now the important point to be discussed is the copyright system has recently come under great pressure with the growth of internet and moves towards digitization. Actually, the problems lie not so much with the laws themselves but with the difficulty in enforcing them. On one hand, internet communication and digitization open up vast new markets for copyright works, but on the other hand, copyright owners face the specter of unlimited piracy through uncontrolled copying. Now we can hope that what we will probably see over the next few years are stronger laws, more rights for copyright owners, widespread licensing schemes, and greater use of technical anti piracy or copy monitoring devices and electronic rights management systems. We will discuss now 6 rights given by copyright laws to the owner of a copyright. Number 1 is copy the work. Number 2 is issue copies to the public, rent or lend the work to the public, perform, play, or show the work in public, broadcast the work or include it in a cable programmed service, make an adaptation of the work, or to do any of the above with an adaptation. These rights are exclusive in that a copyright owner can prevent another from doing any of these things without permission. Permission is usually granted by contract, normally in the form of license to use a work in a particular way. These rights apply equally to published and to unpublished work. An important point to be kept in mind is copyright arises automatically on creation. Thus, unlike a patent, there is no need to register a copyright. Next topic is the acts permitted in relation to copyright. Some acts are permitted under the 1988 Act even though they would otherwise amount to breach of copyright. First one is the fair dealing. To fall within the fair dealing provisions and thus not to infringe copyright, copying must be either for private study or research, criticism or review, reporting current events. It should be noted that any type of copyright work may be used for the purpose of criticism or review. For example, an extract from a computer game may be broadcast in a television program reviewing software defects. Second point is making backup copies of computer programs, which is legitimate if a license does not prohibit or restrict it. Third point is transfer of work in electronic form. If the work is sold from one person to another, then the seller will have to give all rights to the purchaser and will not be able to use any copy by himself, which, if so, comes under the breach of copyright. Next point is decompilation for the purpose of interoperability. If the programs are interoperable, new programs can be generated from the old ones. The difficulty is to decompile and study the old program in order to engineer the new without infringing copyright. Here comes the point that it is not fair dealing to convert a computer program expressed in a low level language into a version expressed in a high level language. Decompilation is permitted only if it is necessary to create an independent program which can be operated with a program decompiled. Next point is error correction. It is lawful act if the user copies or adapts a program in order to correct error. Last point is regarding databases. It is not an infringement of copyright in a database for a person who has a right to use the database to do anything which is necessary for the purpose of access or use of the contents of the database or any part of it. Next topic is remedies for breach of copyright. In this topic, we will discuss what if the owner of a copyright claims for the copyright breach. A copyright owner has all the usual civil remedies of search, injunction, damages, and an action for an account of profits made in breach of copyright, meaning that copyright laws will provide remedies for unauthorized acts if some copyright is breached. Now here comes an important point, that if it is shown that at the time of the infringement of copyright the defendant did not know and had no reason to believe that copyright subsisted in the work, then the plaintiff is not entitled to damages against the defendant. Next point is, a copyright owner is also given an important power to enter premises without using force in order to seize infringing copies or articles specifically designed or adapted for making copies. For example, a computer used to make illegitimate copies of computer programs. Last topic is plagiarism. It is the practice of taking someone else's work or ideas and passing them off as one's own, meaning that to present as new and original an idea or product derived from an existing source. Plagiarism is an act of fraud. It involves both stealing someone else's work and lying about it afterwards. All of the following are considered plagiarism: turning in someone else's work as your own, copying words or ideas from someone else without giving credit, that is, without referencing, failing to put a quotation in quotation marks, that is, writing the quotation as your own, giving incorrect information about the source of a quotation, changing words but copying the sentence structure of a source without giving credit. This is also plagiarism act, that you copy a sentence and replace the words by their synonyms. For a computer program, changing variable names only or not changing the structure or flow of a program. Like in a program, replacing the order of functions will not make it different. The way problems should be solved must be different. So students, in this lecture we have learned about different intellectual properties like confidential information, patents, and copyright. We have seen what are the acts permitted in relation to copyright. We have looked into remedies for breach of copyright. Lastly, we have discussed what plagiarism is all about. Hope you have enjoyed this lecture. Till next lecture, Allah Hafiz.